Y'all get a better behave yourselves. Aspect of Moros. We're gonna do something around Demeter. Grandma Demeter. You see what she can do for us. We got Artificer on. I certainly won't forget a single time. I don't know. Hailstorm would probably be fun. She's got some cool duos. We'll kind of see what gets offered, I guess. Freezer Burn from Hestia would be cool. Hailstorm from Zeus would be cool. So we're looking for all that. So we'll get some freeze stuff. Maybe we'll even aim for her Lego Dairy. Or something like that. In fact, why don't I remind myself what we need for it? Any of the 3 freeze effects. We're using Aspect of Moros. And if we want Hestia and or Zeus, yeah, her attack is fine. Moros is just, like, super easy. I wouldn't be shocked if Moros got bonked pretty hard in the future. Like, you don't really need good boons here. Are you supposed to behave? I guess not. Do I behave better or worse than the past for the old timers in chat here? Ooh, Hera. Yeah, give me Born Gain. Thank you. Ooh. Bloodline is certainly spicy, but messy. Also. Do. Okay, well that's easy then. Born Gain it be. Their duo boon is Cherished Heirloom, I think. Do. Cherished Heirloom. I don't know if there's a lot we can do with that. I'm gonna do 1 on Born Gain. Why did Homer randomly just talk there? Better probably. Yeah, the frames have been bad. I remember when I was a kid, I would try to like host my own little game servers and stuff. Okay. So I would talk to our service provider quite a bit, actually. Shiny. Whenever I had issues, like I'd host like these crappy little online RPGs is the best way I can. I didn't make them, but you could like host a server or something like that. But, you know, the internet wasn't so reliable back in 2002. We had DSL, which was, it would connect to your phone line, but it wasn't as bad as dial-up. Dial-up sucked. But this was much better, I would say. But yeah, we had DSL. Was it Verizon that did the DSL, I think? The dick-sucking lips? More Demeter. Let's see. Is Gale Force part of the Lego? It is not. Let's look for something for the legendary. Cherished Heirloom, you say? Might have to take that. Because, yeah, none of these. Cherished Heirloom it is. Lovely. We're going to roll past this. All right, I might do the freezer burn thing. So what keepsake do we want to exploit now, then, I wonder? Hey, Deepwater. But yeah, I would call up and just be like, I'm having issues. And meanwhile, I'm like 12 years old or something like that. I'm having issues. And they would be surprisingly kind to me about the internet issues. Honestly. They weren't so bad. I guess I got to do the special here. You could roll for the cast, but what's the point in doing that exactly? The thing is, they'd never actually be able to help. You just had like a rough connection, basically. I think I had the misinterpretation that because you connected to a phone line for DSL, if someone was actually using the phone, then that would clog up the tubes. So, like, if my sister was using the phone or something, I'd disconnect the phone line if I was having internet issues. I was a kid, I swear. Archaic seal for jerky? Nay. I was very unfazed in calling up these companies and requesting their assistance, interestingly. Common blessings, you say. Yao-Gyo, what's up?
Why not?
Thank you for the 31 months. It's a lot of magic. Too much magic, one might say. I think we'll be okay, though, right? Oops, 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 oops. Whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsie. Someone got fired from team the other day, and then they rehired them? I saw that happen in retail, actually. More than once. People would just, they wouldn't like look at the applicant's profile. There was the lady who, this was so bizarre, the case that happened. She had issues at work. Like, she just would stop showing up to work or something like that. She'd get fired, she'd get rehired for whatever the reason, basically. Like, it's not even a case like she'd miss a lot of work. No, she just would disappear. And then she'd, like, reapply at, like, another store or something like that, I think. Eventually, she sued the company for wrongful termination, even though... even though, you know, she just stopped appearing at work. Like, of course you're gonna get terminated then, right? But she sued the company, or at least started to. I don't know if she had the wherewithal to actually go through with the whole thing. In the middle of the lawsuit, she applied to work at a different store and got hired. Honestly, it kind of goes to show just how desperate these stores were for, like, anybody, or literally anybody, to come and work. And then, like, I remember the bosses were kind of talking about it, and they're like, how the hell did this happen? There was a lot of times where, like, people were hired that, you know, it shouldn't have happened, really. There was a woman who, she applied to come and work at a store. I called her about the application to set up, like, an interview or something. Someone else answered the phone, said she was not there. And I was like, oh, can you just say I called from such and such company? Can you let her know, basically? And then that woman asked, like, a few questions, basically. But I didn't provide much information. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just calling in regards to, I don't even know what I said. I didn't provide too much information because I know that you're not really supposed to. You got to be careful with that. You just say I'm calling from this store or something like that. Anyway, when the applicant actually calls back, she is screaming and hollering and just flipping out. Why did you call me? My mother answered the phone and she's confused. Why would you ever do that? She wouldn't listen to anything anyone was saying. And it kind of got bounced back and forth because we couldn't really make out who she was or why we had called her initially, because she assumed that the pharmacy had called her about prescriptions or something like that. Go for Zeus still here? I'll go for the Zeus one still too. Zeus. And eventually we figured it out. And the phone came to me. And she's still freaking out. She's still screaming, like, you're not supposed to call me anymore. I canceled the calls from your store, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Miss, didn't you apply to work here? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, right, I was calling about the application. And she's like, oh. So, what kind of position is it? She, not even a, like, I'm sorry or oops or anything like that. I told her we're no longer interested. She was so rude to everybody. Every single person she talked to along the way. Oh, brutal. It, you know, it takes a lot to be completely unconsidered, I think, at that point. Okay, if we want Hailstorm, where is it? She wasn't sorry, not one bit. Not even the teeniest, tiniest bit. So we have to take Storm Ring. Spirit Surge.
Shocking every time.
Still gonna go this way. Yeah. Doody dee ding ding ding. So we have to roll that. Ding. More Scorch, I suppose. I do want more Hestia, but more Hestia boons, you know. There's more. So, of course, we did not hire her, but this is like a pretty big company. So, what ended up happening was her application was sent to multiple stores. So, a different store called her. They hired her and everything. I tried to warn the store manager because I think there was some kind of like notification of new hires, and I saw the name, and I called him up and I said, "Hey, you should know what happened." And he was just like super copium. He's just like, maybe she was just having a bad day. It's just like, no, you don't understand, dude. You don't understand, dude. I'm gonna be patient and take double strike first. He didn't listen. He hired her. Anyway, she went to work. I think she only lasted about a few weeks before she attacked a customer in the parking lot over some kind of dispute. No one was actually hurt, but she like basically went berserk on someone in the parking lot over God knows what. Tried to tell him, chat. Tried to tell him. Had a guy come work for 4 hours and left halfway through the shift. Next week he calls asking for his money and doesn't even say his name. I had some interesting cases like that too. I had one guy, he came in, we hired him and everything. He was a nice kid. He was working and everything. And he just stopped showing up after like a week though, or something like that. And I kept calling him to tell him like, I just want to give you your paycheck. You know, your paycheck is here, basically. Or something. He just never would call me back. I forget what the issue was. I think we mailed it and it got returned to us based on the address he had given. I just wanted to pay him. I didn't want to sit on the check. I felt bad. Yeah, we'll do this. More Hestia. Do. Need more Demeter if we want her Lego berry. Rare crop is one of them. Weed killer is kind of fascinating here, but not actually good. I guess I'm taking rare cock. What did it hit? Double strike? Oh, that's unfortunate. It was already epic. Maybe something happened to him. I mean, maybe, but I think it was kind of like this would happen sometimes, especially with like college students. Understandably, these jobs where you wind up behind a cash register for like 6 or 7 hours in a row. I mean, you get your breaks and everything, right? But still, it's like very monotonous and just kind of, it's a pretty rough job, you know? Do what you can to try to make it okay, but shit. I really want the thing that gives more Scorch on hit. On the first hit. No dice, though. Can't roll it again.
That's hot.
I mean, it's kind of frustrating, but like at the same time, I get it. It's frustrating in the sense that usually the hard part is to you usually got to spend several hours just like onboarding someone, you know, so you get them through the whole application process and the training process, and they have to do a bunch of those stupid computer modules where they're like, this is how you interact with customers, and it's all like a huge waste of time. Most of the time anyway, right? So, I mean, it's tough, but it is what it is, kind of thing. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, I've lost 2 Death Defiances. Wow. I think that Chaos Curse was pretty rough. I shouldn't have taken Glowing Coal, because I can no longer cast while charging my Omega. I had one college student, she went to school, like, in another state. She lived in the dorms, like, 5 hours away or something. But she would drive back to work on the weekends, every single weekend, just because she liked the store and the people that worked there, basically. It's like, geez. I definitely don't. I definitely would not be doing that. Golly. Good for her, though. Those people were the best to work with. Really. Feel bad, though, still at the same time, right? Like, I remember offering, like, oh, do you want to transfer to a store closer to where you lived? Because I feel kind of bad, but she said no. Need to not die here, huh? Fascinating. Give me... Oh, right. I forgot we have Cherished Heirloom, kind of. Engraved pin, you say. Do-ba-do-do-do-do-do. That lion thing is spicy. Experimental hammer doesn't really get better. Oh, the chaos thing is fun. Might go chaos just to get a heroic boon. Soul? What is soul? Plus 106 health. All right.
To firmer ground.
One if you were give me one of those technical coding tests that was clearly just work they wanted done for free. Oh, you had to do an on spec or whatever piece of work. I remember when I was finishing college, a professor did a mock, like, technical interview, because I went to school for computer science. And so he made us all, each one, it was a very small class. There was probably only, not even 10 students if I were to guess, at least at this point in the course. But he made us all, like, kind of get up in the front of the class and kind of act like we were in an interview, and he would tell us to, you know, I forget what he had us do, but it was very nerve-wracking to have everyone, like, sit there and watch you. It was something like, I think he had us just, like, write a sort algorithm or something. It was actually pretty basic, but my God. I was way more confident than I should have been. I wasn't that confident, but I was still more confident than I should have been. Because I feel like when I don't have, like, what do you call it? Like the boilerplate, like sort of like the template right there in front of you for that stuff. It's like impossible for me to remember. Like, I don't know how to start a program off, I guess you could say, most of the time. So we want the Zeus Duo. We also want the Demeter Legendary. Hestia, more Hestia stuff would have been nice. I guess I'm gonna go... We gotta pick one thing or another to go for, though. If the Duo gets offered here, we might just take that.
Until we meet again.
No Duo offer. Let me look at the Legendary. Cold Storage is 1. So we'll take that.
Desolation.
Freeze and die.
Echo, let me know if I can help you.
More Demeter.
Please don't give
How does it interact with the Demeter Afro Duo? Freeze or burn. Snow Queen. I think Which one's that one? Party appetite? Oh, you probably mean something else. Hestia, okay. I think it's bad, actually. Making the freeze last longer, I think it makes it so you're not going to be able to proc freezer burn as often. I think.
The fates won't mind.
Oh-ho! Freeze afflicted foe shatter, 10% health, dealing damage in the area. It's been a long time since I got Winter Harvest. Don't really want more hurrah. I guess we'll go this way. You have to do editing samples.
I've drawn them out.
It's interesting because none of the jobs I ever worked at would ask for like free work as part of it. Well, actually, I certainly never did that to people because it just didn't make sense to me. I guess you could describe, like, when I interviewed as a cashier for a retail store, the store manager had me hand out flyers at the entrance to see how I talk to customers, I guess. I guess that's not really work, but it was weird, I'd say. Oh, it makes the scorch last forever? Oh, hot flash. How does that work with... I don't know. Oh, it doesn't really interact. Oh, it still purges the scorch if you have freezer burn.
Please make your choice.
I just did it. I just sat there and awkwardly smiled and like, here you go. Here's a flyer or some shit like that, right? I just did it. I have a friend who was applying to be a chef at a restaurant, and they had him come in, and initially he was supposed to do a trial, which is, I guess, pretty normal. Like, you cook something, right? Apparently that's pretty normal. Any chefs out there that could say one way or another? I think I like both of these. Could go either way. I don't know. They're both very close, I think. That's some money. Don't really want max health.
I have to go now.
Definitely don't need more max magic here. Anyway, he came in, or he went in. And he did like, I forget the term. There was like a specific term. He did like a test run and like prepared like a meal. And apparently they said he did a great job. And so they asked if he would help out with dinner service that night. Like right then and there, like out of the blue, basically, will you stick around and cook for dinner service? And he very politely was just like, sure, and didn't really ask too many questions at the time of. He just kind of geared up and like did his best or something. Halfway through the shift, though, he goes up and he said, hey, so when are we gonna like sit down and do like the onboarding and like settle the pay stuff and everything? And the dude said to him like straight in the face, like, oh, well, I don't know if we're gonna hire you yet. It's like, okay, what the fuck though? And then they got into an argument, and then he just walked out after that. It's like, what? You can't just tell someone to like come in and like work a shift and be like, yeah, if it works out, we'll hire you. That's some wild shit right there. Yeah. The restaurant business is rough. I hear quite a few stories from family and friends from it. Oh, fucking brutal. It seems like an absolute nightmare. Bonk. You think we'll get a voice line from Demi this time? All we got was Cerberus, where you're free. Amy's Baking Company or something? Yeah.
You're looking better already.
We got heroic double strike. If only we had the duo. We do now.
Go show that shape.
Worked 5 years in food service. It wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the 80-hour work weeks, terrible pay, and incompetent managers. What's the old Clerks reference? This job would be great if it wasn't for the customers. Probably just go Lion Fang. It's got to be the best one because that's set to something else. Evil Eye, that is. Evil Eye should probably be higher than that, right? Then again, I am still on 1 Death Defy. So perhaps a bit greedy to go for that. We'll be fine though, right? We'll keep it spicy, I suppose. Oh, make it 2 Death Defies. Oh, the Regis Inventory Company? Was he frozen even? That's the thing. Like, when freeze is on cooldown, there's kind of a lot of questions, like when it works, when it doesn't. You watched The Bear? Wife didn't like the look of it, so we had to turn it off. Like, it seemed a bit too intense. Yeah, I worked with people. The Regis company would come in and do work for the company I worked for, and it looked brutal. Yeah, you can see the shatter on the enemies here. It looked brutal. You're like on your hands and knees, and it's super monotonous, right? You're just counting like pencils for hours and hours and hours. And they hated doing the stores that I worked for because we were terrible at keeping our inventory, basically. Like, it was always a mess.
Lost it buzzing.
A big palm, sure. Visual effect from Hades 1 had a scythe. Yeah, it looks like, I don't know, either it's not either they don't have it in yet, or I'm not actually getting the effect on the bosses all the time. It's not the first time. You can see them, like, kind of shatter here. How many rolls we got? Not much. Ooh, guess I'm doing glowing coal. Terrible, though. Counting every goddamn thing in the store, entering it into the weird upside-down calculator near your hip, getting death stares because you're a 17-year-old guy counting bras and shit. There were some people that they kind of idolize a job like that, where it's just like head down, do your work. You don't have to talk to anybody or anything like that. But it just seemed, I mean, I didn't have that job, but I had jobs that weren't that far off where it's just like super monotonous, and they were really hard. They were really, really hard. It was just so boring. I mean, every job sucks in its own different way. But that's a type that I don't think I could go back to again. When I was a teenager, I worked at a manufacturing plant. Not for super long, but I had one job for months in a row to do the same exact thing over and over again. I would take a little piece of metal, I would put it in this you know, kind of big, it's not a drill press, it's something else. I forget what they called it. A tapping machine. I would take this little piece of metal, I would pull a lever on the machine. It's almost like the size of a slot machine. Pull a lever, it would drill down into the piece. I would take the piece out, throw it in the bucket, repeat that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Sweet Jesus. And while I mean, sure, you can listen to, like, your music, your Walkman. I mean, it was early on, so I don't think I had MP3 players back then. You can listen to your Walkman and such. But the other issue was that it was really loud in there all the time. So it was hard to hear anything. And you're supposed to be wearing earplugs for your own good. So that wasn't super helpful. It didn't really help pass the time. And we didn't, you know, I couldn't be watching anything on a cell phone because we just didn't have that at that point, and they probably wouldn't allow it either, I'd imagine. But yeah, that was rough. There was definitely, you know, that was one of those jobs I'd wake up in the morning and I'd just think about, what if I just didn't show up though, you know? Oh, darn. So air quality does not work presently. Static shock is not bad. Not great. Can't get the duo. Do we really take air quality? It helps with scorch, but that's not that big of a deal if we're purging the scorch often. I don't think it really helps with anything else, though. What else am I looking for from them? Not much. Well, you can't do that. Divine Vengeance it is, I guess.
All right.
Now we're out of rolls. Job was automated away. I don't know. Not sure. I'm not certain what the worst job... I mean, when you factor in pay, probably the worst job I had was the lowest paying job. Just because it, A, was still very hard work generally, but also I had to worry about how the hell I was going to, like, make my rent or my phone bill or this or that all at the same time, right? So, generally, the worst job was the one that would pay the least. Because I had some very low-paying jobs back then. Ah! We got double legendaries. Shocking loss. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna bother with this money.
Some coins.
Ah! It's also tough to feel dedicated to a job when you know that you could just get the same pay anywhere else at any time for free, and it would be like a nice change up, at least from what you've currently been doing for a while. It was hard to feel dedicated because there's not usually much. It's like too hard to kind of grow out of those positions, you know? You could apply to the place down the street and probably get like a little more pay too if you tried. So it was rough. I think being a cashier for so many hours on end for like $8 an hour was probably the worst. That was probably the worst. Let's buy that first. Bloodline for this, huh? We have a ton of magic, but it's still pretty bad. Aspirin. Like, there's no benefit in spending more. We don't have the Heartbreaker thing. Didn't get the duo, unfortunately. Oh, wow. That's... Unfortunately, this is a lot worse than it looks. Because the explosion from the aspect counts as a regular attack, not an Omega attack. So, increasing your Omega attack damage does next to nothing. Should I have taken the sprint? It doesn't really matter at that point. I never took air quality, right? No. Didn't mind it being cashier at the grocery store while you were in high school and college, unless your mother showed up. What do you think when the game will have the full release? Next year. Yeah, but that's what they said. That's all we know. The Thai restaurant was pretty rough, the one I worked at, just because they were only paying me $5 an hour under the table. They're like, but you'll get tips. And like, but no one buys anything here. I got like, there were many nights where I got $0 in tips. This is probably around 2006. Yeah, the freebies. Yeah, they did feed me, which weirdly was an incentive I probably overweighed. They would feed me at least, though. Hey, cut it out, buddy. Wow. Oh, he got me. Felt like weirdly delayed. I know I got excuses. Hey, chill, daddy. All right, I'm gonna relax for a minute. Those clock hands are gonna pop up. Okay, good. This move is easy. What'd she say? Back to dust, I think? Yay! Reap what you sow. We actually got it. We actually got it. Woo! Any educated guesses on the next update? They're quoted as saying some months after the last update we got in the middle of July. So it could be any day now, I would guesstimate. It's probably going to be any day now. Who knows, chat? Next week, we have a lot of cool looking games coming out. So we had double Legendary and double Duo Boons. But weirdly, I'm going to admit it. The build wasn't great. It didn't feel good, really. Cold Storage has anti-synergy, and we didn't apply a lot of Scorch to enemies to do a lot with Freezer Burn. Like, it's not like Freezer Burn, it could have been a lot higher if we had focused on it, probably. Yeah, this could definitely be better for sure. Would definitely be better. And how were the hammers? Clean Helix. Yeah, the hammers were fine, so same spark. All right.